we've got a fun matchup between two young teams that are both 2-2 and both have a lot of expectations this year. And actually, I say that now. I think the expectations for the Texans have gone up a bunch as C.J. Stroud had a dominating rookie year, and he travels to Atlanta to play on Desmond Ridder and the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons' expectations were high coming into the season, and so those expectations are still high. But I say both teams' expectations are high now because this Texans team can play. I mean, they had a good start to the season, starting out 2-2, a good dominant win in their last two games against Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. You can make an argument that both those teams' offensive lines aren't ready, or maybe they're still working out some kinks on them on some things. But I would rebuttal back, though, is that this Texans offense still just looks amazing. C.J. Stroud is in rhythm. I think he is on pace to beat the rookie passing yard record.
By a long shot. Through the first four games, he's again still has 13 more to go. He's already at 1,200 yards.
Yeah,
and so that would put him on pace for about a 4,800 yard season, which I want to say the rookie passing yard record is like 3,800.
Well, and then with the 17th game,
maybe it's 4,200. Justin Herbert had a really good rookie year, so
that's I think kind of getting into the game now, and I'll talk a lot about the Falcons here later on. But I think that's the thing with the Texans. Is what's been interesting to me is how it just seems how balanced they are. Like they have that explosive offense. They're number 4 in passing yards on total offense. They're a little bit lower in the running game. That makes a little bit more sense just because their offensive line has been injured. They essentially have a second team offensive line out there. But I think with the effectiveness and looseness of C.J. Stroud, and then with how quick and shifty Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and Robert Woods, especially Nico Collins, he has had a great start to the season so far. 2-touchdown game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of which actually Devin Singletary threw the pass. So you have him on your fantasy. He scored some bench points for you. But just in general, though, this offense is surprisingly dynamic. We thought that he would have a similar build-up to kind of what Bryce Young is having right now, just a little bit of struggle getting used to the NFL speed. But that has not been the case at all. What do you think the Texans have to do to come out victorious? And on the flip side, then, how are the Falcons going to stop this offense?
So for me, this offense just needs to keep doing what it's been doing. They've looked great in the last couple matchups. The one thing that I think the Falcons could potentially do better than what the Jags and ironically the Steelers were able to do is get after C.J. Stroud a little bit, get him off his mark, take advantage of this offensive line. Because if you let him sit back there, he's accurate enough; he will pick you apart. And that for me is what the Falcons really have to do to kind of slow down this offense. This running game is not super great. I think part of that is due to the fact that this offensive line is, like you said, they're basically playing their second team offensive line right now. So that for me. And then defensively, I think the Texans have the much easier assignment here because they can make the Falcons very one-dimensional just by
Falcons make themselves one-dimensional.
Well, fair. But I think they're going to play run heavy. I think Will Anderson in this pass rush will have a day. I think this Falcons team has struggled in pass protection so far this year. So that for me, get after Desmond Ridder and make them have to throw the ball. So,
yeah. No, and that's what the Houston Texans pass defense is. It is good. It looks like they're 9th overall, 10th overall in passing yards allowed. And then when it comes to the rushing stats, let me see here. They're 20th, so a little bit below average on the rushing side of the ball. But I think that's one of the things that we saw here, though, too, is you kind of hit the nail on the head with this passing offense for Atlanta, is that they're just making them have to throw the ball. And that's what we saw happen with Jacksonville. Now, Bijan Robinson still had a game, but this offensive line is still really good, able to create space. He was able to break off some big runs, but felt like there was just no consistency, no momentum. I'd love to see some hurry up from Atlanta, because just with how dominant you are on the run, I hate that it seems like they're always getting into huddle. One of them come out with like 5 or 6 set plays. They use essentially the same receiving set and the same formation the majority of the time. I think get the defense on their heels, because I think that's what's going to stop this Texans defense, who has who has developed a decently good pass rush. Will Anderson has also had a couple of good games these past couple of weeks. So it's going to be interesting. I just want to see just a consistent performance from the Atlanta offense. I think this Falcons defense can shut them down. This is going to be one of the better defenses the Texans have played so far, especially better secondary. So I'm curious how Nico Collins is going to do against AJ Terrell. Curious how Jeff Okudah is going to match up against either Robert Woods or Nico Collins. And I'm not really too concerned about their ability to run the ball just because we have a stout defensive front. Jacksonville struggled to run the ball. A lot of teams actually have against the Falcons. Let me double check that. Just want to make sure that I am statistically correct on that. Well, I should take that back. They're 18th overall. I mean, so they're average. They've given up, it looks like about 100 rushing yards a game. It is a little bit more than that, actually. So that's okay. That's fine. I don't expect the Texans to run all over Atlanta. I'll just say that. I don't think that their offensive line and their game's built for that. It's going to be through the air. CJ Stroud is going to have to have another 300-plus yard game, which I think is extremely possible with the weapons that they have. So want to toss it over to you first as we kind of get down to the into these predictions here. Who do you think is going to become victorious here, Week 5, and have a winning record?
So I am going to go with the Houston Texans. I never thought I would have made that pick. I just think you look at what they've been able to do the last couple weeks, and they were able to stymie the pass rush of the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is one of the best pass rushes in the league. And granted, I don't think that offense is as dynamic as the Falcons, but I think with how one-dimensional they are, I think they're going to DeMeco Ryans is going to do a fantastic job scheming up a solution for the Falcons offense. So for me, I'm going to go with the Texans in this one. I think it'll be a close game. I'm going to say 24-17.
It is going to be a close game. I think it's definitely going to be a tough defensive game here. I keep going back and forth just because I had a lot higher hopes for the Falcons offense up to this point. They're still shaking the rust off here. They're coming back from London off just a tough offensive performance game. This defense shut down Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars to just 16 points. That's exactly what Houston did against them a couple weeks ago. Being at home, it just feels like this is the wrong pick, but I need to also get back in our season-long competition here. So I need to try and find some opportunities where I think maybe the better team will slowly start to get better. And I think that Atlanta is better on paper. I think at home, I think they're going to stymie C.J. Stroud. I think Grady Jarrett, Calais Campbell are going to be able to get after C.J. Stroud with his offensive line here. I'm going to pick the Falcons. I wish I was happier about this pick.
Well, that's what I was saying. Before Week 1, I would have been like, yeah, this is probably a lock game for the Falcons.
I never would have thought – it's interesting, too. I never would have thought that I'd be like, defense looks great. Running game looks great. Passing offense looks awful. I think we're like second to last, third to last in overall passing yards per game. Just because of these past 10 years, it's just been absolutely atrocious. And I think it's just and this is where the conversation around Desmond Ridder is just going to get more and more interesting as the season goes on. What point is there? Do they maybe make a trade? I don't think they'll make a trade. They brought in Taylor Heineke for that. But if they do bring in a trade, who would they potentially trade for or bring in a veteran and maybe try and salvage this season?
Mac Jones.
I would take Mac Jones. I think he's athletic enough, and then he's a much better passer than Desmond Ridder. But we need to see just kind of how Desmond Ridder keeps developing, because we were all get excited at the end of last season, but it's been an interesting – not interesting. It's just been a poor start, I would say, to the start of the 2023 season for just Ridder and the passing offense. But there's still a long ways to go. He just needs to get more confident. He needs to just be able to just make those simple throws, because there's just a couple plays really that were just big, explosive plays that he just missed. Offensive line, I think, needs to also give him a little bit better protection as well in the pass game. They're doing fine overall in the run blocking, but passing needs to get better. And that's really just about, because with how dynamic our running offense is, like if we could just get an average passing attack, I think this would be that's in the league.
That is my thing. I think that's kind of holding me back from picking the Falcons here is I think the defenses are pretty similarly matched. I want to get the update. I think Derek Stingley is a little injured for the Houston Texans, but so I'm trying to pull that up. Yeah, Derek Stingley.
He's on IR.
Yeah, he's on IR. So like that hurts them, I think, in that department. But he's missed the last 2 games as well, and they've actually looked really good on the defensive side of the ball. So like that's interesting. And then I just think that the Texans have the better offense here. Just with CJ Stroud, Tank Dell is going to be a nightmare to cover for I think the Falcons, and just kind of the threat that he poses in himself. And then Nico Collins is having a career year. So
yeah, well, to see, it'll be interesting. Falcons do like to play man a lot, so that's what's going to be interesting about it. So like,
Tank Dell is we saw this at the Senior Bowl, but Tank Dell is a man annihilator. I wouldn't even call him a beater because he's
a man beater.
Yeah. Man coverage. He's only like 5'9", 180 pounds, so he's not that big, but he's really hard to cover. So we'll just have to see. I mean, I think it's going to be a really close game. So
yeah, I agree.
Let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Houston Texans? Will it be the Atlanta Falcons? Let us know what you think. Other than that, we will see you guys next time.